This is a little video about milk, a little update on drinking milk. And I'll just go and give the cows some water because I think they're thirsty. Ruhig, ruhig. This beautiful patch today with lots of clover. Yeah? What? Hey, Mary. Yeah. Mary's she's a heifer, so she's only just become pregnant, I think. And Rasmus is the father. He's done the job, I think. Wait. Beautiful people. So let's have a little talk about milk and using milk as a part of your diet. And as if you've seen my other videos, you know I love milk and I love raw milk, and I've more or less lived off milk for several years. But what I experienced myself was that I couldn't keep going, unfortunately, because my body was reacting to the sugar in the milk. So it's just to just share this with you, and I think I've learned a lot from my own journey. So the thing is, there's many different types of milk, and you can be sure that if you want to have milk, that raw milk would be the best option, because raw milk is live food. It's just like raw meat can be better than cooked meat. But especially milk, which is made for the baby calf or whatever baby it is, it's supposed to be raw. It's not supposed to be cooked. And when you take the raw milk and you make cheeses, you make yogurt, you have a very superior food because it's really pre-digested. So it is, I think, one of the best foods that exists. And if you can live off milk, I think that's really, really good. Also because the whole thing of using milk from a live cow. I mean, a cow can live. I read a story about a cow in Tasmania who was 32 years old, and it was a man who had. She was going off to the butcher. She was an old milking cow, and this man felt so sorry for her. He saw her sort of crying outside the butchery or something, and he bought her and took her home and had her in the garden, and she lived for 32 years. So a milking cow can, especially a very natural cow, can become quite old. And see, if she's producing 10, 15 litres of milk all summer, and she gives you a calf every year, and she lives for all those years, and maybe she doesn't even have to have a calf every year. She can just keep producing milk, which many cows can do. It is a fantastic way to get food because you don't have to butcher the animal. And there's many things you can say about milk, but especially the fact that having raw milk, there are all the nutrients you need in cow's milk. That's the only animal that gives you the milk that has everything. So there's nothing lacking in the milk. And when you have it raw, you get the nutrients very easily. What do you call it? You take in the nutrients from the milk very easily. It's very easily absorbed by the body, which is also fantastic compared to meat. So for instance, meat can be fantastic, especially as a healing food, but the protein is a little bit more difficult to actually absorb properly by the body, whereas from raw milk it more or less goes straight into the blood. It's very, very easily absorbed. So the thing about milk is that many of us who have quite destroyed guts will have some sort of allergic reaction to milk, and that's very important that if you go on this journey and you have a lot of milk, to make sure you notice how your body is reacting. And one thing that can be a reaction is fatigue. So if you don't feel, with whatever you're eating, if you don't feel properly energized, there's probably something about the food that you're eating. So it's good to take away whatever you think. And also, if you're having milk, I think it's good to just have a break once in a while, because you can actually make the body become allergic. You can sort of build up a sensitivity to milk. So it is quite clear that when you go on an elimination diet, like if you, for instance, only have beef, fat, salt and water, and you leave the milk alone, and then you have a little bit of milk, which I did the other day. I had some pasteurized milk, and I reacted straight away. I could feel I got phlegm in my throat. I just had a tiny bit of the store-bought milk. So your body will show you very quickly if you're reacting to milk. And of course, if it was raw milk, maybe I would not have reacted, because it's just two different things. So I'll just switch off the water, just a sec. Okay, Okay, so let's just continue our little video about milk. And so the really important thing, I think, to understand is that milk contains a lot of sugar. And I think that was the problem for me, because I had enormous amounts of milk, and so I had enormous amounts of sugar. And if you are metabolically not very well, it will actually be very difficult for your body if you have too much sugar, because it really is known now that if you have had chronic conditions, going into a ketogenic state where you have very low amounts of sugar and carbohydrates and a lot of fat and protein, you really are helping your body heal and be very healthy. You're helping your brain. So if you're having a diet with a lot of sugar, you really have to be metabolically quite healthy, I reckon. So if you want to have milk and you really can tolerate milk, it's good to just look into the fresh milk contains the most sugar. And I have some little charts here I can show you in this video by an English doctor, very wonderful doctor, and he shows the sugar content in different foods. So here we have all these wonderful infographs by Dr. Unwin, and here we have the graph that shows the milk, and he says that 125 mils, so that's a glass, I think, a glass of milk contains 1 teaspoon of sugar. So he compares all these different foods, and there's all these different ones you can go to. Just see if I can find it. Where you can see the different cheeses and how much lactose is in them. Yeah, there's the different charts you can see. Yeah. So you can Google it yourself. But that was David Unwin's little chart. They're called infographics, where you can see all the sugar content in different foods. So that was just to show you that it's quite sugary. Milk is, that's 1 teaspoon of sugar you're getting every time you're drinking a glass of milk. So there we are. So, and of course, as soon as you make yogurt from the milk, there's much less sugar. And when you make cheese, and especially aged cheese, all the lactose in the milk is more or less digested and is turned into bacteria, really. And it does not give you that large amount of sugar, which fresh milk does. So if you want to be on a ketogenic diet, you have to make sure you have milk products that are very fatty and with very little sugar. So, but yeah, I love milk, and I love how we humans have used milk, and the baby is given milk. It's the first food. Milk and honey are the only items on this planet that are true foods. Everything else is we can take from nature. We can butcher animals. We can take from the earth, eat it. And it can be food, but milk and honey are true foods. And the fact that humans have been using milk, I don't know for how many thousands of years, but I think it's very fascinating. And I'm sure that we have benefited from using milk. They say that the cultures that were built over using milk were the ones that were really evolved the most. Milk is just a really, really wonderful product, and it is very, very special to be able to make your own milk with having your own cow or goat or sheep. I've had milking sheep once, it's all different. I just love cows so much. So yeah, this was just a little update and how you can use milk. You just have to be very aware of how you use it and make sure that you're feeling good in your body, you're feeling lots of energy, and that the milk is not irritating you. So that was a little milk video. Take care, my friend. See you. Look at this tree. Birch tree. Wish. Here you come, Asmus. Asmus says goodbye. Goodbye. Mary. Mary says goodbye. Goodbye.